Hey, community. Hope you're having a good day. I am fresh off a trip to New York City. I just went on a 48-hour quick trip to New York, and I'm feeling so motivated, which is nuts because I have so many things to do this week. So you would think that, stuffing in a quick New York trip would do the opposite of motivating me, but it was so great. I am part of an amazing women's network. It's an incredible community called Maison, and it is for women who are seven figures and above, and doing all different types of things in their business. But they are a group of incredible, generous, amazing humans. I'm definitely going to have the founders on for sure, Hannah and Maritza, but also bring on some of these women. And it was just such a good I was literally there for 36 hours. I went for a dinner, which might sound insane, but you just never know what could come at any of these dinners. And so that's not even what I'm talking about today, but I just have it on my heart to say that because it's just really always shocking to me, the amazing things that come from it, the people you meet, what's possible, how you connect with people. And even I'm coming home today, and Ben on my team, who is the best, has been working on a new freebie for our audience, which I will link in the show notes because I'm sure it's live by now. But as part of one of the freebies, he came up with this GPT, custom GPT from us that helps people figure out what to talk about on their podcast, because that's really a question we get from so many of our clients is yeah, I want to start a podcast, but then what? What should I talk about? What would I do? And it's always hard for us to tell people what they should talk about because it's so personal, right? I don't know everything about, we just launched podcasts for former Olympic curlers. I don't know one curling rule, but they have this really amazing life. But as podcast agency, what we know about is podcasts, and so we really wanted to help come up with a tool that would help people, be able to talk about their craft in a really meaningful way. And Ben worked on this GPT; it was awesome. And again, that's not even what I'm talking about today because I put in a bunch of information to try to see, test it out for him, give him some feedback. And it came up with a really good topic for me. And I was like, I need to jam out on this. And the thing with using something like a custom GPT to help with podcast topics is I'm not asking it for a script, right? So when I'm talking right now, I'm not about to come to you guys and be like, okay, ChatGPT told me to tell you this, so I'm telling you this. It gives me an idea, and then I use my expertise and I'm able to really fill out the idea fully. And so what I want to talk about today is the dangers of over monetizing your community too soon, which is something I've talked about on the podcast before, but never so outright. And the reason is because I do think when you're monetizing or creating a business or a community, it can feel kind of stressful to figure out when you're going to make your next sale or what that's going to look like. Are you going to make a sale? Are you going to, immediately monetize? I always say, and I really learned this from a ton of mentors, that if there is a way for you and you have some runway to not have to make money absolutely immediately, I think you take it. So because there is just something really amazing to being able to build trust. And I think trust is one of those things that takes a bit of time to build. And if you're always asking people for money immediately, you aren't going to be building the trust that could possibly come. And I see this a lot with podcasters in particular, because podcasters are like, okay, I really want to monetize my community immediately. And the thing that they think about all the time is ads. They're always like, when can I start running ads? When can I get some brand deals? That's what they're always asking us about. But sometimes they don't realize that what they actually could do is monetize their own offers, their own community. And that actually could be even more fruitful than potentially an ad deal. We've made tens of thousands of dollars off of this podcast. We've invested tens of thousands of dollars into it, but we made tens of thousands of dollars off of it because we haven't been too focused on monetizing immediately, right? I wasn't trying to get brand deals. I haven't been hitting up all these people. What I've been working on is building community and building trust. And when we have something to sell, it's way easier to sell. I have seen this many, many times, and I really want us to talk about how to avoid alienating your audience and building trust first. So, really, with any kind of like monetization, relationship is the most important thing, and you really should be focusing on building genuine connections with your audience. So, monetizing is a natural next step that will come with building know, like, and trust. But you really like if you're not making sales, you really should be asking yourself, like, am I building strong relationships online? Is my platform making connections with my audience? And so with that in mind, are you communicating with your audience? Are you DMing with them? Are you responding to their stories? Are you encouraging them? Are those things that you're doing to make those connections, or are you just hoping that people will buy from you? Right? I know that, social is inherently social. So you really want to be building rapport with people. And when you are trying to make, cash fast rather than focusing on audience loyalty, you can drive away the very people who want to support you because they get the ick, right? Like they're like, oh, that person, I really like DMing with them, but now I see that they are really just trying to sell to me. We've all been there. I literally just had this happen to me the other day where someone was DMing with me. I thought it was really genuine. And then she pitch slapped me with something. And I was like, oh my goodness, you do not know me well enough to sell. I am someone who buys from people all the time. I love supporting our community. I love buying from people. I'm also in a big believer, Maria is too, that money is an ecosystem. So like if I want to be making more money, I do need to spend money. If I want people to trust us, I need to trust others. I know all of that. So I spend with that energy, right? And so if people are like really like slapping me with this information, then it's not probably a fit for me. But if, over time I see someone, they've added a lot of value, I'm listening to their podcast, and then all of a sudden something comes up as an opportunity to buy from them, it's almost always a no-brainer. I'm excited to do it. When you take the time to actually cultivate trust and deliver value, it does over time result in a more engaged and loyal audience. So I still have people from my first business that buy from the Social Snippet all the time, that come to High Vibe Women before we could have even dreamed up that is what we would be doing. So just a reminder, it sometimes does feel like building a community is a lot of work, and it can be. And sometimes I do think it comes naturally to some people more than others. I did a podcast episode that'll come out later with a friend, Lyric Fryer of Workplace Branding, who's amazing. And we actually talked about this, about how like not everyone's a great networker. Not everyone's great with relationships. So where can you double down? But building your community online is really important. So when we're talking about this from a content perspective, what we want to be talking about, whether that be a podcast, social, is really focusing on value first. So, you're not going in your stories always selling. We really struggle with this on the High Vibe Women side because we have so many events. So we're always, to be honest, we are always kind of selling, right? In some regard, we have our 2 full day experiences. We do 2 to 3 retreats a year. On top of all of that, we have our dinners. Now we have the $1 Million Table, which is our 7-figure founder series. We have like a bunch of other stuff brewing up right now with other brands. We have our online community. Like there's just so many things that we're doing that it feels hard for us to serve. So we do use our personal brands as like a really great opportunity to both serve and sell. But we always even need to remember that. And I think on the Social Snippet, we do a ton of educating. And that's always been kind of our kind of ethos, is really like educate, be authorities, and the right people will come. And so we focus on really making sure that podcast social is around delivering value. And you can do that with your brand too. For some people, that's education. For others, it's inspo. For other people, it's entertainment. All of those things do add value to your audience. And different monetization efforts like ads, sponsorship, products can sometimes take away from the core of the mission of what you are doing. So if you get kind of like, okay, I need to do this and I need to get sponsorship and I need to get ads and I need to do this, sometimes truthfully, it takes away from what you're doing. And Maria and I actually have had lots of conversations about this, because sometimes we promote things and we're like, actually, this is cannibalizing something else that we're doing, or us focusing on this little affiliate that we might get from this thing actually is not going to move the needle as much as us promoting a social media client and us getting a retainer off of that, right? So it really makes a difference for us to think about it from that perspective. If you are looking to monetize and you want to do ads and that kind of stuff, I'm not saying don't do it, but you really want to even keep it as compelling as possible. Something I've seen people do with brands on the podcast social side, which I like love and I actually think works really well, is really working on just subtly mentioning it. So it's not going in and saying, "Oh my goodness, here this is brought to you by this brand." It's saying, "Hey, I was actually writing this email and I used Flowdesk, and I actually love Flowdesk, and here's why." And I have an affiliate code in the show notes, right? It's less like interruptive, more of an interruption. So I would say, what word am I looking for here? I'm like mom brain full tilt. I don't know. You guys have to tell me what word I'm missing here. Intrusive? Oh God, this is gonna kill me. Okay, anyway. So please tell me. This is how I know you'll listen to the podcast. So if you are able to just like subtly bring that to life, that also can really help people and really serve people, but then and be a monetization option, but not as what intrusive as it could be. You can also see this where a lot of brands are moving towards commercializing their podcast or their social too soon, and it's just like ad central. So I have seen this with not actually clients, but with podcasts I listen to where, I was an OG listener and then now they are really focused on ads. So there are just tons and tons and tons of ads in there. Almost too much to sift through. So I would really recommend just trying to figure out that balance for yourself. Again, you want to be working on building a strong audience first. And really, I think the truth of it is that when you have a larger audience and you have a engaged community, even larger is not the right word, a more engaged community, what ends up happening for you is that these monetization opportunities start to come. So even for us, like, the community podcast is not the biggest podcast, right? Like, we definitely are in the top charts from time to time, but it's not a number one top chart. And not even top 50, like truly in entrepreneurship in Canada. But I have found that, as we've grown our engaged community, we've grown the Social Snippet, we've grown High Vibe Women, it has been easier for us to have monetization opportunities that come straight for us, right? So people will come to us and say, "Hey, we love this. We love, what you're doing with High Vibe Women. I'm able to include some podcast ads in whatever it is that I'm selling." And people are really excited about that. So I really try to make it part of the experience, but I will tell you, you do need a strong audience first. The right time to monetize is really important, but take a look at your funnel, right? So think about for yourself too, like what you're doing from time to time, because sometimes even with partners will ask us to do something. I'm usually pretty amicable to do it, but then what if I have an offer coming out? What if that's the High Vibe Women tickets go on sale? What if we want to do something else, right? So really trying to find the right way and timing to monetize is super, super important. So a few tips. Monetizing slowly and organically is important. So even if podcasting, I tell people all the time, I'm like, don't try to monetize for the first year. Just focus on serving your community, and you'll see monetization does happen. Ideal clients will listen and be like, "Hey, I listened to this and now I've purchased. I love what you're up to." That happens very organically. You don't need to sell that experience. So that is really important. Again, we also talked about blending value with monetization. So how can you, we have a partnership that's kind of brewing with Acrobat. I'm probably not going to do a podcast episode about PDFs, right? But if I'm telling you, "Hey, I actually love the PDF space," or "I love their AI tools," that's a great way for me to blend that in without it being an episode necessarily about PDFs. But you can do things like create lead magnets, offer exclusive content. Lots of people are doing that kind of stuff with maybe a broadcast channel or which we have on Instagram. I'll link that for you, and as well as an episode about like why you should do a broadcast channel for your VIPs. Also, even things like a Patreon. Like if you're looking to have more exclusive content, there are tons of ways that you can do that. So I will say, in terms of engagement and feedback, you want to listen to your audience and really get feedback from your community. So especially when it comes to monetization. So, ask people like, do you feel like you know about this offer? Do you think maybe like I'm selling too much? What would you, what are people responding to? I see this as an example of this for us is our retreat. We have a lot of trouble with the not messaging, but like the advertising timeline of it, because we're always selling high vibe women tickets. So because of that, it kind of cannibalizes the retreat a little. And then people will be like, oh my God, I didn't know you had a retreat. Like, I'm first in line for the next one. And then I'm like, if you're first in line for the next one, just sign up now. But then people forget, and there's lots of stuff going on with our online community or in-person community. So just a reminder, like, you can really like jump in on that, and jump in on different experiences. But I actually had to really listen to the audience and like look and see like, oh, I'm seeing that people are really like, they're struggling with knowing what's happening. They're struggling on knowing how much details are going into things. They're not really resonating. Like, we'll send an email and people will buy instantly, but it's not leveraging on social. So really looking and understanding from your audience like what's working and what's not. And you really want to keep a balance between free and paid content. So you'll see, like, I'm not even selling anything in this episode, right? Like, there's so many episodes. I'd say the majority of the community episodes are not for sales. I might talk about the online community. I might talk about high vibe women. I might talk about a tool I'm using, but I'm not always using it to sell. I'm at the core of this podcast is to serve. And so keeping strong in that and making sure that you're really engaged with that mission. And you really want to also, if you are monetizing, like, you can do it, but just make sure that you're using a soft selling approach, or you're giving sneak peeks, maybe having one-off offers rather than constant promotions. Like, really just think about your audience and ask yourself, like, if you were listening to your own podcast, like, would you feel oversold to? Would there be too much on your plate? Would you be hearing the same things over and over again? So really asking those questions is so crucial. So I want you to think about your own content strategy, whether that be podcast, whether that be social, whatever that looks like. And are you over monetizing? I don't know. There's also people who don't talk about, like, really don't talk about their content enough as well. Like, that is another thing, or their offers. So I'm not saying don't talk about your offers. I'm just saying be strategic about the way that you do it, and not always coming to the table with, oh, I'm doing this to make money, right? You really want to find that balance. So that's it for me on this topic. But it was so cool to get this concept from a GPT. It helped me flesh out the idea a little bit more. But it's just a reminder to you, right? Use your resources to the fullest extent. This is a great way to use AI. But yeah, I'd love to hear maybe where you feel like you might be over monetizing, or maybe like where you want to tighten up some things, or maybe you want to talk about your offers more. Yeah, anyway, love to hear from you. Love to hear what resonates always. And I hope you have a great day. Keep on building your community. Can't wait to see what comes up for you.